What's the Niche podcast? Another special episode and another special guest. So please introduce yourself for the people.
My name is Miriam Rodriguez. I go by Mimi. Social media is Milk and Honey XP on everything.
Dope. So how you doing today? How you feeling?
Good. Today's gonna be a day.
Okay.
Yeah, nice weather.
Dope. So what is your niche? You know what I'm saying? So what do you do? Like what is your hobby? Like what gets you up every day to get going?
I think I'm probably more of a creative. I like to, share like my paintings and my poetry and music that means something to me. But as of recently, I have gotten into planting, just planting stuff, growing things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think like your main passion has been? Like is it like the poetry or is it planting now? Like which one is your main thing?
I probably poetry. I was really heavy in it um, for a while back in the day, and then I just kind of lost touch with it, and I missed it. So as I've been healing, I've been doing more poetry, and I think that's one thing that I miss the most.
Yeah.
Is kind of like expressing myself.
That's really that's like life for real. For me, poetry is like probably the biggest thing because I rap and I make music. So poetry's been like really the healing thing that helps me kind of heal from the different things that go on during the day or like the things that bother me or things that hurt my feelings. So I take like my music and it's based off poetry because everything is surrounded is trying to make a rhyme scheme or whatever. But for me, it's just releasing those toxic demons or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you're able to create and put it together, almost make it to a point where someone else can relate to it and learn from it. Um, that's kind of like why I do it too at the same time. So I can definitely feel you where like poetry is like it's key. It's like a release.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
Oh God, I started probably in like the sixth grade. We had a poetry contest, and a bunch of us submitted poems, and then they chose the ones that they liked the best, and we would come up on stage and read those poems. And I think that's when I started writing poetry, um, because I was like going through a lot at that point in time, and I was the woman who actually got me started with poetry. She told me that I didn't have to share my poems because that was like my base thing. Because in middle school, like I was bullied a lot, so I was hesitant to get on stage and share those things with people. I didn't want to give anybody any more ammunition.
Right.
So she was like, you can write a poem that expresses how you're feeling, and then just tear it up and put it in a baggie and throw it away. She said that way you can like just release those feelings. So I started to do that, and then it got to a point where I would write descriptive paragraphs instead of poems, and express like how I was feeling in detail, and then rip it up so I can like release those feelings. And then I've just been hard at the poetry ever since then.
Right, that's dope. So like, it almost got me thinking like people who are like us. I assume like us to be like people who take things in and almost like we analyze it.
Yeah.
So like that's mostly what creators are. Like they like sponges in a way. Like we take shit in and then we kind of process it how we process it, and then the creative thing is to go out and express it to get rid of it. So like I was thinking in my head like as you were talking, if we as creatives are attacking like our job, so like if we make our job what we love to do, that's where it doesn't become a job where it's easy. Like I figure that's where I want to be doing music. Like I want to wake up every day and be able to take, even if it's some bad shit that's happening, take that and I can say it's my job because I'm going to the studio to create something. You know what I'm saying? Like that's pretty much really been my whole main goal is knowing that I feel this way and turn that into my livelihood since everything's about money and shit now. So like how have you turned that into becoming something that you can live off of and things like that?
I actually haven't. I don't really make money doing the things that I love, and that's fine. Me and my brother actually just had this conversation, and he was telling me he's very goal orientated.
Yeah. I be doing the same shit.
And so he was telling me, he was like, you need to find something, a job that you would love. And I was telling him, I don't love to work. That is not a goal of mine, is to work forever, or I don't have anything that I would want to do forever that would make me money. I've always, I think I'm like more of a traditional woman because I've always wanted, like, my goals. I would want to be a wife. I want to be a mother. You know, I want to take care of my children. I want to take care of my household. I want to take care of my husband.
Right.
And if whatever I got to do to get to that point, I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Not because I love to do it, but because that's my end game. That's the end goal. So him and I were going back and forth on that. He was like, well, you like to write, you like to sing, you like to paint. Why don't you make money doing those things? I'm like, I do those things when I feel like it, when I want to do it. And when you're doing something to make money, you're on other people's time. You have to have deadlines. You have to, I need to do.
It becomes a job. Like it becomes stressful to be able to. Cause you have to balance it. If you become a music artist and you're taking the money aspect and putting it into it, now, especially if you have a label, because you're basically working for somebody at that point. So now you're being forced to create. So now I think that's what separates the professional from the person who's just in his room creating. You get what I'm saying? The professional's probably trained himself to be able to deal with those different aspects of, like even with me, like now I don't have time. So like before, when I was a writer, I was like, I can never freestyle. I can never make shit come out of my head and make it make sense, to the point now I haven't written this whole year because I can't because of the time. But I think that's the difference. Like I don't know. Like I've always been like where. For me, it's not really necessarily been like the family aspect. Like I want a family, I've tried to have it, but I think now like this may not be the right time to like like the generations like kind of like messed up. So even when I've gotten to this point of maturity as a man, when I want to have like a wife and things like that, and maybe even do provide for them at some point, I feel like the females don't be on that same type of page. So I find it interesting that you already know exactly what you want, because most of the time I deal with someone, or if I talk to anyone in general, they don't even really know necessarily what they want, like in the future, like what their goals are. Like mine family is there for me, but it's like I feel like I'm here. I'm a spiritual person, so I believe like things happen for a reason. Like I feel like I've been searching for those relationships and they haven't worked for a reason. And I feel like my whole purpose in life is to touch masses of people. And the only way to be able to touch masses of people, and I find that the people I'm dealing with don't necessarily understand me. For me, understanding that I'm not a person that's traditional necessarily, to where I'm gonna go work I used to work at FedEx and shit, where I'm gonna go at FedEx and be happy. You know what I'm saying? Making $50,000 a year, doing the same thing over and over again. Because I'm a hard worker, but at the end of the day, like I can go through some. If I'm not happy, I can go through some. I can go from working hard all hard and just being the laziest person. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I feel that.
So it's like a balance where I gotta be in the right mood. And I feel like in this generation, a lot of people don't necessarily understand that. A lot of girls don't understand that, because they have insecurities. So we're doing what I'm doing, they don't necessarily want to even deal with like girls around you, things like that. Like I'll be rambling. I forgot what I was talking about. But just what was you saying again? This happens all the time.
No, it's I get what you're saying though. It's like the women nowadays, they want that traditional provider. They want that, I'm gonna protect and provide, but they're not traditional women. Like you can't want a traditional man and then still not be a traditional woman. So like if you decide that you're gonna wear the pants, you can't be upset when your man don't wear the pants. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's a lot of women nowadays. It took me I think, because of my health situation, I have kidney failure, heart failure, diabetes. Like it's a plethora of things.
Yeah.
And I had to sit down and look at life for what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I can figure out what I want opposed to other people my age, because they never had that clock ticking, telling you, you know, you're running out of time. You need to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, any job I ever had, I mean, like I enjoyed some of my jobs, but if I didn't have to go, I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I realized, I was like, I want to do the domestic things, because those are the things that are gonna last for generations. It's like my brother always asks me, he's like, what's your mark on the world? And I'm like, I'm okay if I don't make a mark on the world, but if I create people who can.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's some things that I've thought about too. But I've also gotten to a place of like, yeah, like I want kids and stuff. Like I've dealt with girls that have had kids, so I've experienced like watching them grow up and being in that close relationship to where it's like, damn, like I really kind of do want to watch someone, you know, be in that person's life. And like I love that family shit. I just deep in my soul, it's like, yo, bro, like you gotta touch the world. So like whoever you do end up with is gotta understand, like you are here to basically be a healer.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because the world is, a lot of things are negative. A lot of people are, even though our celebrities, the people that we worship, because celebrities are the people who we worship. Like I hate fame. Like I don't want no fame. I don't like attention. I'm a shy person. But I realize those are some of the things that if it does come my way, I have to utilize it the right way. So with me, like my main focus is to be the healer to the world, but my second focus would be to eventually have a family, be able to provide, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't necessarily want my wife to work. I'd rather her be at home. That's why I find it interesting you said, because I've never really met anyone nowadays that is cool with that, or if they are, they don't want to go through the grind to get. Because I was in a relationship that she was kind of like that, but when things get tough, like we on the come up. So like we could have all the money in the world one day, but then like because I'm sitting here trying to do more, or you might want more, we may have a setback to put us back down. But like if you're not, this generation is so flip floppy. No one wants to go through hardship. They just like to be around when everything is cool and peachy. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't, you know what I'm saying, I feel like a person you with should be sticking to you through everything, the ups and the downs. Then that's how you determine if that person is deserving of the good at the end. You know what I'm saying? Like
I think a lot of women, they want that, don't have to work, can watch the kids and build a family, but they don't understand that in order to get that stability, you have to build a good foundation. You're gonna have to work in the beginning. You know, both of you guys are gonna have to work before or when your family starts, so you can get to that point where one of you can go, hey, you don't have to work anymore. You know what I'm saying?
And if communication like is, because I made it a point, like my last two relationships, I made it a point to be, all right, this is where I need to improve on becoming a man, like communicate your feelings, communicate these different things. So if I'm approaching and I'm like, yo, this is the plan, and you agree, like, okay, I gotta work this amount of time, and then in 2 years, our plan is for me not to work, to then have kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, set these things in place. Like, for me, my next relationship, that's how I want it to like go. What I actually want the person to actually be realizing when we talk about these things, we're actually saying these things for that, not to be bullshitting around. Like a lot of people want to bullshit, but it's like
sounds good, right?
Like that's been my major. That's probably my most frustration, like dealing with, because I always want to help people, and I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, all they missing is me. It's kind of some ego. It's some ego shit. But at the end of the day, like I'm like, yo, man, all that person needs is me.
I mean, if you understand what quality you bring to a relationship or whatever, that's, most people don't understand that. You know, like my last few relationships, it's like I'm a very patient person, and I'm very like, I try not to judge people because I've seen some shit, been through some shit, gone through some shit, you know. So I try not to judge people, but I feel like, you know, like in that state of mind, the people I've been with in the past, I've allowed them to grow and flourish for somebody else. I've groomed them to be the man that they're supposed to be for somebody else.
I thought I was the only one. Bruh, like
you wanted to fight niggas.
yo, like I've gotten to a place where I'm a little weird because, like I said, I felt like part of me is like it's either I'm gonna find a girl I want to be with, or I'm gonna just be alone, or just be have these multiple friendships, right? Because like I feel like if I have multiple friendships, like I said, I can touch multiple people. Like I said, I felt like my purpose was to touch multiple people. But I felt like damn, it was something I was about to say. I was leading to that shit, yo. I hate when that happens. But um it'll come back to me. But like people are like they don't necessarily want to go through like the ups and downs, right? So in my situation where I built a foundation, like somewhat of a foundation, and that person seen me a certain way, right? So when you then move in with a person, or you then like start to go through these different changes in the relationship, people don't necessarily want to talk these things out or work it through. Like it's immediately, all right, now I'm scrolling on Instagram. This is what I think about, right? Like I'm scrolling on Instagram and like, oh, I'm not having the best of time where I'm at right now. Oh, here's my ex, or here's whoever. I'm seeing them do so good, and like you were just saying, that's what it was. the new people, right?
Yeah.
It triggers our brains. I think like the phones play such a big part.
Yeah.
It triggers our brains like, damn, that person was really good to me. In reality, that person was probably mad fucking toxic. Like, but like we still tend to want to go for those people, or feel like I kind of feel like we necessarily don't make those people better in a way. It's almost like they're just taking their problems, and they may have figured out how to match their problems better for the next person. So, yeah, you may have taught that person good qualities, right? But they're still taking their bad qualities that are so hard to work through. And if they're not a person who want to work through them, they're taking those bad qualities and just taking a little longer to show them to the next person. That's how I look at it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people don't change. If they change, y'all would probably still be together unless that person thought that they could upgrade because they were scrolling their phone and thought, oh, because a lot of dudes will do this. Like dudes is ego. Like we all ego. So with us, we'll some who are not mature enough will be like, yo, our friends see this one chick that is into us is so bad, and we're just infatuated because our friends think this chick looks so good, so we still entertain this chick that we really don't personally like. We might be with a whole girl, but we still want to go to this next chick because it's flattering that all our friends, you know what I'm saying, think this chick's a certain way. But then we end up realizing, oh, we don't even like that chick. Then we come back to the chick that we wanted all the time. You know what I'm saying? That's why these cycles keep happening, because everything is for the man is based off of ego. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's in like every relationship, whether it's platonic or a romantic, or like my father, he wasn't really like around growing up and stuff like that. And as he has 13 daughters, and I'm his oldest. And I asked him, I was like, we had a real heart to heart, and I was like, why weren't you around? Like, why did you stay away for so long? And he was like, I didn't feel like I had what it took to be a man, and I didn't want y'all to see that. And I was like, all we needed was your time and attention, but you felt you needed to have bread and cars and houses. So because you weren't at a status that you thought was respectable, you stayed away. And I think that's what a lot of men, they feel like they don't have what they think you want, they'll stay away, or they'll be toxic, or sabotage themselves. And that's crazy to me. That's crazy.
That's literally how you just put it is almost exactly how it be. Like, I know. Okay, so I always try to like not talk about other men and try to talk about myself, right? So with me, my toxic trait is to never necessarily to always approach a situation as the bad, right? So like me, I'm already approaching the girl as in, oh, this is not gonna work. I'm already in my mind, because it's a defensive mechanism because I'm so into my feelings. Like when I meet someone, I'm almost like my mind racing so much. 2 weeks, I'm like, yo, this person could be the one. You know what I'm saying? So you go through these emotions and you try to fight these emotions, but then like 3 months later, you realize, damn, this person may not feel like I'm the one for them. Mm-hmm. So now you gotta fucking deal with like showing, like, cause I be trying to block myself from even showing my true feelings for somebody. And I feel like all men deal with that, because the females nowadays seem to want to deal with the man that is more on their player shit, that is more on their, yo, I'm openly talking to these, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, they don't necessarily want the guy that is like, yo, yeah, I'm gonna show you all this attention and this affection because I am into you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like that's been praised like a lot. Like, anytime I really get into somebody, it never works out.
It never works out. I feel that I'm gonna let you know all those secrets. Mm-hmm. So women, it's not that when we start talking to a man, the fear doesn't come out of commitment so much as it's like, damn, what if we don't break up? You feel me? It's like, what if this is it? Like, and then you worrying about like what you have to do to make it work, or if you fuck up, you know, what could be the best thing of your life. And so women, we overthink all the time. We're super overthinkers, and then we're looking too far into things when men are so simple. They're so simple. Like
some of us.
Well, I mean, men think more logically than women.
Yeah.
And if women would think more logically, they could understand men better. And my brother taught me that, because I think
that's why I get frustrated with my friends.
Yeah.
Because y'all aren't thinking like how I'm thinking it, like, because I be like, yo, y'all be sometimes setting yourself up to get dropped. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I be seeing it from a mile away, and I be like, and they be like, I'm so in love though. He likes me now. I'm like, does he really? Or is it like, like you never really know. Like, you never gonna know until you know. In my opinion, like, I feel like men are lead by action. Yeah. So we gonna get what we want. We gonna do what we want for what we want. So if that person is giving you the attention or doing the right things or showing you instead of talking, it's easy to say something, but is the dude actually pulling up? You know what I'm saying? And actually,
I think men do more talking because women fall in love with words. Men fall in love with what's in front of their face at that exact moment until they get the chance to get deeper. But women, we fall in love with words and actions. Like, show me and tell me what's up. Like, I'm a very direct person, so like, I'm dealing with a dude right now, and I have no problem asking the hard questions. Because why? Why not? Why beat around the bush? Why get more invested? And then turns out, ooh, he was boo-boo fool. Now you done wasted 6 months of your life. You know what I'm saying? So some men, they don't appreciate the straightforwardness, and some men do. You know, some men want somebody who's like shy and like coyish or whatever. And I mean, I'm not abrasive, I'm not aggressive, and I'm not disrespectful, but if I have a question, I'm going to ask it, you know. And I think that's one thing, a lot of women, they're scared to ask the hard questions out of fear of running him off, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to question about his baby mama or about his habits, because I don't want him to think that I'm blah, 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 and run off. But if you're having these emotions, if you're having these feelings, you are blah, blah, blah. Yep. And you need to get it out the way in the beginning. And if he runs off, he wasn't going anywhere.
Yep, exactly. Everything happens for a reason. The universe is moving how it's supposed to move. So, like, when you have, like, I feel like when you have emotions, sometimes you just got to lean into the emotion and you got to just deal with it head on. And then whatever outcome comes from it, because the outcome was meant to happen. So, with me, like, I was dealing with somebody not too long ago where, like, if you, like, with her, she wanted to, it seemed like with the music thing, it's different. Because, like, you never really necessarily know, is the person, like, trying to attack you for the the access, you know what I'm saying, to be able to do these certain things, the access to meet the certain people, to get around these certain people easy. Are they really like you for you, or is it just because of that? So the blurred line between business and relationship is something that's been different for me. So like now, like you said, being straight up, straightforward. I be straight up and straightforward with girls now. Like I don't necessarily know if I'm to the point as that I can be in a monogamous relationship only because of my trust issues. Like I feel like I'm so not trustworthy, not trusting right now at this point that I feel like I would not like. I feel like unless I'm really involved with that person, I'm gonna tell you straight up how I feel about you. You know what I'm saying? Whether we, excuse my French, whether I see you as someone that I'm just fucking and vibing with, or somebody I see for the future, or somebody I see as just my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm being direct with those relationships now and not putting the blurred lines. A lot of times as men, we may like the female because we think she look good and we attracted. We may not even like her on the wifey vibe. We just want to just stick with the vibe, but we don't tell her that. We just try to stick in the vibe until she catching feelings like. Cause sometimes when you in the vibe be feeling like, you know what I'm saying? That vibe be feeling like some wifey shit sometimes. But it's just, y'all just got that, but y'all just got that bond. But it may not be to this point. Yeah. That wifey shit is different. Like, y'all gotta be almost on some best friend shit. Like, I almost feel like unless I can see myself talking to somebody and I know they're dating somebody else, and I still don't have them same feelings where it's like, I want them to just be happy at the end of the day. If I don't have that for that person, it ain't real in my eyes. Because I feel like if you really don't really fuck with somebody and they go with someone else and you feel like, oh, that person's trash now, I don't want that person. You ain't really love that person. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like when you really love somebody, it's deeper than sex. It's deeper than their personal relationships. Like I've told people I have no problem being a side nigga. You know what I'm saying? Only because, and it sounds crazy. Like, it sounds crazy. Don't get me wrong.
I'm glad you know that it sounds crazy.
It sounds crazy. But, like, think about my life, right? I don't have time for really anything. So, if you just want me to call you once a week and talk on the phone, that's helping me get my stuff out. That's helping. We doing each other a service. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And if you just want to, you know, because I feel like women ain't going to cheat if the man is paying attention to them. Yeah. So if you're not paying attention and she's talking to me, I feel like, hey, that's on you. Especially if I don't know you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
not wrong.
That's on you. Like, if she want to come take a vacation with me and come to the beach with me, if you really paying attention to her, she ain't going to want to go to She going to want to go to the beach with you. Nigga, like, come on, yo. Like, that's how I look at it. So I don't have no problem being like, like I may not take that girl serious though, but at the end of the day, like we just having fun, we vibing. You know what I'm saying? For me, I feel like I said, I want to touch people. So the more people I touch, I might give you advice because I be on the guy's side when I'm talking to these people and my friends. I'm always on the guy's side, but I still believe that we are the cause of some of the reasons why y'all do these things to us because y'all are now building yourselves to be tough.
It's crazy because like guys would be like, oh, she's nuts and she's wilding out now that I don't want to talk to her. You made us like that. We weren't nuts in the beginning, but we were chilling, we were communicating, and you were not understanding us when we were chill. So now we have to kirk out. Because that's the only way that you're gonna understand. Because we've given you 12 million thousand shots for you to understand me when I'm chilling, and now to get your attention, I have to do some wild, crazy shit. So I think too with like musicians in general. I've dated a lot of musicians. Well, I haven't dated a lot, but everybody I've dated has been a musician. And
I got a question on that too.
Yeah, not doing that shit no more. That's dead because I've noticed that musicians they're the most vulnerable with their music. And their music is shared to other people to make other people feel some type of way. So when you're not having that vulnerable connection with your girl because it's with your music, then she's getting deprived of having of being able to know that vulnerable side of you, just you guys together, like a couple should be. Like when you're in a relationship, you should be able to go to your girl with anything that's problematic to you or that's disturbing your peace, and she should be that comfort for you. She should be that peace for you. But if you have two avenues, you have your girl and you have your music, and when you have that decision, you can either go to your girl or go to your music. And you choose your music, your girl starts to feel starved out.
But this is where I was like to the point where, because I was interested in this one girl because she did music, right? And I thought like, oh wow, this is different. I was gonna ask you that, like, when you're dealing with people in the music, you don't feel like that makes it better. I've never really talked to somebody that was into music, did music. We could go to the studio together, record. That could be our bond. You know what I'm saying? Do poetry together, whatever. Like, I've never necessarily experienced that. I've always experienced the person on the outside looking in who is most likely just trying to get the game from it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I've never really dealt with somebody that's in the field. But when that little short time of trying to get to know someone in the field, the trust issues come about because it's like, now that person is saying, yo, I don't want to be affectionate in front of people because now we don't want people to necessarily not want to work with me because they see me with you. All those different things start coming into play when you're dealing with the business and I think in relationships and shit. Like, and it's like it's tough balance. Like,
I was so heavy into the music scene that the only people I met were in music. So the people I dated were into music.
Okay.
I mean, that's why it's hard to date and not date musicians, because when you are dating a musician, it is those late night studio sessions where both of y'all are like, oh, creative juice is flowing and the vibe is heavy, and but I guess it just depends on the mental of the person. Like, I have a lot of guy friends, you know what I'm saying? So I spend a lot of time with my guy friends in the studio, late nights and stuff like that. So if you're gonna be dealing with a musician, it's easier in that aspect because they understand, oh, she's not out hoeing around at 3 a.m. She's in the studio.
Right.
She might be in the studio with 6 niggas, but those are her brothers, you know what I'm saying? But then it's the mutual, like, he might be in the studio till 5 in the morning, and so that's one of the upsides of dating a musician. But the downside is that, you know, like, emotionally, they're more into their music, and if you're not prepared for that, then it's not gonna work out good for you.
Yeah, like I think it becomes a thing of I don't know what that alarm was for, but it becomes a thing of like with me it's a balance, because like you said, like my music's so real personal. I know it'll probably be hard for someone that I'm dealing with to necessarily go back and listen to my shit, because if you're listening, you're probably like, damn, like he's speaking on real shit that happened, you know what I'm saying, or something that I said that I didn't realize it affected him that way. You know what I mean? I don't know, like I feel like with me, I feel like I'm such a person that's connected to the person I'm with, where I want those conversations, I want to be connected. Like before I make a song, I want to sit there and have that conversation with you about the song. Like, but I've just never dealt with someone that was on that type of mental level. I've always dealt with someone that's a step below me, instead of now I want someone that I'm learning from, where we're learning from each other, where they're either on the same level or they're a step above me. Because at the end of the day, even if they're reaching below to get me, I'm still trying to climb up to the top. These people I'm reaching below for, they not trying to elevate their mind. They just trying to stay on surface level. Like they don't even want to know about, like, what do you think, you know, is gonna happen 30 years down the line. You know what I'm saying? Like people aren't interested in the same things that what I've dealt with aren't interested in the same things that I am. So that's what I've been trying to battle with. Let me see how many minutes we got. But let me ask you some more questions, because we done got off on talking about everything. Oh, good morning. You ready for your portion? I know you got a lot of questions.
Somewhat. I want to definitely interview you separately in another avenue, because just our little short conversation, I like your story. It's like amazing, right? But I wanna piggyback on, because he didn't hear the first half. You were talking about what you were doing before you got sick, and the poetry and all that kind of stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually, I want to say 2017, 2018, I started working with this group called DTV here in Fredericksburg. And before that, I'm still working with a record label called Feral Vision. And that's how I met the DTV people. And they were doing shows here in Fredericksburg. You know how different rap groups like throw shows around Fredericksburg. And I was like, well, what about the people who are not technically musical? They would, we want to do something for them out here. And I went to Couture Coffee and I met the owners, Christian and April, there. And they had just opened up like a few months before I met them. And they were like, well, we have this space in the back. And I was like, I would love to go shows here, not just music shows, but poetry nights and open mic nights. And we even did like theme poetry for like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and stuff like that. So we were doing poetry and paint. We did that where the poets would come up and they would read a few of their poems, and the painter would be behind them painting to correlate. And that was a really big night for us. That was cool. We did a suicide awareness and prevention because I don't know if you guys know who Zai Young is.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Okay. Zai Young, his brother had passed, and my brother also passed from suicide, and they were like a month apart. And so I threw that show with him, and we had people come out and they just sang a song that meant something to them, or danced to a song that meant something to them, or read a poem, just did something to express something that meant something to them. So that was really dope. And Christian and April, they're great people. They're amazing. And then Corona hit and everything kind of went kind of
Corona
crazy.
messed everything up.
Yeah, and like 2 years ago, I had gotten really sick. So like I've been diabetic my whole life. And when I turned 19, they took my insurance away, and I didn't have insurance for like 5 years. So then when I got my insurance back, they did all these tests and found out that I was really sick. So like it had gotten really bad for a while. I had to go to rehab. I had to learn how to walk again. But just giving honor and glory to God, I was able to get through that with the support of my family, the support of all of the different people I met in the music industry, just the support of Fredericksburg, really. So now that I'm feeling better, like I started going out more often, trying to like reclaim my life. But it's been years, so now it's like people are like, Mary, where have you been? I'm like, girl, I don't even know. But now I'm trying to hop back into it so that I feel like having left the poetry scene, I'm doing a disservice to the people around me who have supported me. So I'm trying to like bring it back a little bit. I know they're doing poetry nights at Couture on Fridays, and like I think like me and my friends are gonna start participating in that and trying to like bring up the community more. And I know that Christian is running for city council, and I think that's great because he's such a voice for the young people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Christian is amazing. His story is
right.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
There was a point in time right in the beginning of me getting sick. I had me and my mom had like started butting heads more. So I was like, well, I'm gonna get my own place and you can stay here. But I was homeless for a few weeks in between that time, and I was at the shelter, Thurman Breastman here in Fredericksburg, and Christian would come, because Christian's a chef, and he would come to the shelter like I want to say once a week on Wednesdays, and he would teach people how to cook and like using stuff like hot plates and crock pots and microwaves for people in those situations. And so I'm sitting there, and I've known Christian for a while at this point, but just having him come to the shelter, knowing how busy he is all the time, and teach me things that I didn't know that I was gonna need. So anything I can do to help him, I definitely definitely
Yeah,
will.
for sure.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. So I'm hoping that you do get the opportunity to start, bringing that stuff back, because I think you're right. We do need it in the community. That's part of what our mission is too, as well, is to focus on that mental health and bring together the music community and the mental health, and then add in the psychology later, because I teach psychology. So I want to we want to bring in the combination of it, and we want to partner and collaborate with people who are like-minded, who do kind of see that same kind of vision of bringing people together, particularly young people, because that's always has been my, call my core, just people who are trying to find themselves. I like to come in and just kind of say, hey, let's give your voice to it. Let's put your voice out there so we can figure out what it is, so you can figure out which direction you want to go in to live your passion. So definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
So there was something else that you had said, if you don't mind talking about your brother a little bit. So so did that bring you closer to this, or was this something that you was like aware of before when your brother?
I was not aware at all, actually. It kind of just hit us. My brother, he's my foster brother. And when he was really, really, really young, probably like 4, his parents were murdered in Bolivia. And then with that, you're gonna have some trauma. And then he was put into foster care, and he was adopted. And then his adopted parents wanted him to go to into the military, and go to military school. And he decided that he didn't want to do that. So his adoptive parents gave him back and kept his sister. So he was like bouncing around. He was a friend of my godbrother's, and he didn't have anywhere to go. My mom was like, he can stay with us, and he ended up staying with us for like 4 years. He became family, and then he just was, dealing with demons, and we didn't even know he was in that darker place until I actually got a message on Instagram, and somebody said, I wanted to give you my condolences, and I did not understand at all. I was like, what are you giving me condolences for? And they were like, aren't you Darwin's sister? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, he's dead, like he died. And I passed out. Like, it was not a good day. And I called my mom, I called my brothers. Nobody knew, because when he was driving the wrong way on the interstate and got hit by a 16-wheeler. So we didn't know. We weren't able to be there at the hospital, for his last moments or anything like that. And he had started to call people before he was driving. He was calling people and just telling people that he loved them, and it didn't strike us as weird, because like his family tells us he loves us all the time, but he was calling his friends and trying to make amends with people, and then that's how we realized what actually happened, and there was like beer in the car and all this stuff. So we're pretty sure that it was intentional, and it just it opened my eyes that people really are screaming for help, and if you're walking around with your head in the clouds, you're not gonna notice that there are people who need you. So after that, I really wanted to try and do something, and I've always been an advocate for mental health in the brown communities, Black men, Spanish men, women. It's not a conversation that we have at home as much as our other counterparts, you know what I'm saying? So I've always been an advocate for African American mental health. It's really important to me, and my whole family. So that's why I was like throwing those events, because I want Black men to feel like they have somewhere that they can go where their other Black men and Black women support them, So that's why I really got into that.
Right. It's interesting you say that too, because I feel the same way. It's like this, we can go get services, and the services can be helpful to a certain extent, but then in the other avenue is sometimes people of other races don't understand certain things that we feel, and they also don't understand how to have these conversations with us in a way that allows us to open up freely, because there's certain things that we keep in that we don't share because of the cultural stuff.
Yeah.
And we choose not to share because we feel like they won't understand. And so you're right, where a lot of times we're isolated, especially in communities where all the service providers tend to be of one race.
Yeah.
Right? And it's limited amount of us that are in the field. And like, I tried not to talk too much about it, probably as I, build my show, I want to probably bring up a lot more about it, because I've been in the field. And I remember going through training and being like the only person of color in a room of all trying to train. And the journey that I had to take to even get halfway in was so, it was a lot. It tore me up. If I was to actually to really share the story of it, what it did to me, it's a lot. All I say is that, and it's crazy, the American Psychological Association, I just found this out, made apology because they even recognize that what they have done to us, different cultures, has not been beneficial. And they put it in writing and books and papers and articles and journals, but they never really looked at us per se. And when I did do research when I was in college, I went to look a little bit more into the Black experience, mainly the Black experience. I remember I went back in to try to find the books that were connected to us treating us, and they disappeared. And I was like, and then I found it on Amazon, but they were selling it for like $3,000. I'm like, oh. I mean, but it was hidden. Okay, it was hidden. So that just goes to show, about like, we do need to bring these things to the community. So I'm so glad that we have somebody that sees that, and that's willing to to bring this out to the forefront. So I'm looking forward to this. Okay, so time.
Yep. It's been a good conversation. Getting ready, the cameras are getting ready to be full, so a couple minutes. But you have anything else you want to tell the people before we get out of here?
No, not really. Not promoting anything right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have you on next time. Of course, you'll be on my mom's show, and hopefully we'll have nice to see you again. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a good interview. Another What's in This podcast episode. David Lamont here. We out. Peace.